Hello there, everybody, and today I am here to review Justice League Doom. So, this came out, I think, 2010, and I think this is easily the underrated Justice League movie. So, I might as well talk about my history with this movie. I saw it on YouTube when someone put like a compilation of clips of the movie, basically just playing the entire movie. But then eventually I found this movie in my library, and sometimes I occasionally rent it and rewatch it because I find this a very enjoyable Justice League movie. And it stars basically the DCAU actors. It's basically like a DCAU reunion, except we don't got Hawkgirl or Aquaman. But this is more like a mainline founding members of the Justice League, but also brings on Cyborg, which is really cool. So, but we got the amazing Kevin Conroy as Batman, Tim Daly as Superman. We got Susan Eisenberg as Wonder Woman, Michael Rosenbaum as the Flash. We got Nathan Fillion as Green Lantern, even though Hal Jordan isn't in the DCAU, but like sort of for time travel. That's a different story. But yeah, we also got Carl Lumbly as Martian Manhunter returning, and not Kathy Pryden. I forgot how to say his name. Carrie Patton as Cyborg, where we got like the guy who played the Falcon playing Cyborg in this movie. But this is based off a storyline in Justice League where Ra's al Ghul steals the plans of the Justice League, and he uses that against them. And it's kind of leading to Batman's fault since he's the one who wrote the plans. So this might be considered one of Batman's greatest failures because he lost the Justice League lost his trust. So, but the movie opens with the Justice League encountering the Royal Flush Gang. So isn't like in the DCAU where we got the Teen Titans voicing the Royal Flush Gang and they were working with the Joker. But this time it's like a different style of the Royal Flush Gang, and they're robbing some bank, an art museum, and the Justice League show up out of nowhere and they have a badass fight. It goes well, like any other battle in the Justice League, but things do take a turn when Batman gets home from the battle. And they do encounter Cyborg, who hasn't joined the team yet, but he will later. Spoilers. But Batman thinks he notices something in his car, but he just brushes it off. But he gets home with Alfred, and the rest of the Justice League just go off on their day. I kind of skipping over the Royal Flush Gang fight, but it was a good fight. It was entertaining. It was like, it reminded me how the fighting goes in the DCAU style. By the way, the animation looks amazing in this. It reminds me of the Young Justice style of animation. Well, this came out probably before Young Justice came out, so this was probably a blueprint to that style of animation. Whoever the animators were, they did a fantastic job. But the Justice League all go to their daily lives. Most of them. I think it's just like, wait, no, it's not. But they're just, but like, most of them do. But they run into some villains. But while all that was going on, Mirror Master, the enemy of the Flash, uses, like, comes out of it turns out he was the one that was in the Batmobile, and he ended up sneaking into the Batcave and stealing something on the Bat computer while Batman and Alfred went upstairs. And then out of nowhere we see Bane in this swampy area, and he even wrestles an alligator and he kills it. Brutal stuff. I'll just scroll to Bane, but yeah, he ends up meeting up with a bunch of other super villains. He meets up with Metallo, Cheetah, Mirror Master, who shows up later. But also stars Starfire and an evil version of Martian Manhunter. And they all gather together for a meeting. And that meeting is with the infamous Vandal Savage, voiced by the same guy from the DCAU, Vandal Savage. So this isn't the same one from the DCAU, since this is a completely different from the DCAU. So I'm going to discuss later if I think this could be DCAU canon or not. It's like a will it canon, like the Watchtower database. Shout out to those guys. But Vandal Savage has a new mission for our fellow random villains, enemies of the Justice League. He has formed a Legion of Doom, and this was formed in the Justice League show where Lex Luthor formed his own Legion of Doom in Season 3 of Justice League Unlimited. That was a much bigger group. But Vandal Savage has gathered the most feared enemies of the Justice League and has gathered them together to pay them $10 million, $1 million each, so he could take out the Justice League and then conquer the world. So yeah, it seems basic, but the way the villains go about it is what makes this story interesting. So it makes us think it's going to be like any other Justice League story, but no, they do it with a twist. So while Batman, we're going to go with each Justice League member. So Batman's thinks something's going on because he hears something and he finds out his parents' graves are gone. They're tombs. But Batman's of course pissed by this and he wonders what happened, but he thinks he hears Alfred's voice, but Batman gets punched into the grave and he's not wearing his costume. But the person in this cloak who's impersonating Alfred is Bane, who puts on his mask and is ready to take out the Batman. And Batman can't fight because he's not wearing his costume. And Bane references how he broke the bat. But so maybe events of Nightfall similarly happen in this version of the Justice League. But he knocks out Batman, and then later in the movie, he wakes up and he gets a radio transmission from Bane saying, "Oh, I hope you find your parents well. They're right next to you." And then it turns out he's in their parents' grave. He didn't do anything to them, but he definitely buried Bruce Wayne alive. And he even refers to him as he broke the bat, now he breaks the man. That's an interesting point for Bane. But next we'll move on to Superman. So he is, during a press meeting, he ends up getting a call from Lois, who calls about one of the reporters, Mr. Hackman. It looks like he's ready to jump off a building and commit suicide. But Superman comes up to the rescue and is ready to talk to the man and have a simple talk. And this is easily one of my favorite Superman scenes. Not a lot of people talk about this scene, but yeah, Superman, I don't know if I'm known for this, but Superman's he's not my top DC character, but I do respect the character a lot. But I don't know, I don't know if he could be top 10, but and that's a different topic. But Superman talks to the man, and the man says how life doesn't matter because he's constantly getting nowhere from his job at the Daily Planet, and he feels he must just take his own life. But Superman is saying, "You're stronger than that. You're stronger than you know. You can still fight and get a new job." And he's fought for the same things, just even if they don't seem fashionable. But he tells them to not quit. But it looks like Mr. Hackman's almost kills himself, but it turns out to be all a trick, as Superman is now shot in the chest, by Metallo, who's disguised himself as the man. And he uses kryptonite radiation to knock Superman off, and he crash lands. And of course, a worried Lois comes to his aid. So while that's all going on, we go on to Wonder Woman. And I'm kind of going out of order since this movie jumps from scene to scene of what the Justice League is up to. But Wonder Woman... deep breath. But Wonder Woman ends up having to fight a swarm of cheetahs. She first fights one of the cheetahs. And I don't know if I mentioned cheetah earlier. Sorry. But there's a lot of characters in this, by the way. Wonder Woman ends up having to fight what she thinks is one cheetah, and she's like, "Oh, what do you want, cheetah?" But the two end up fighting, and then there's a whole group of cheetahs. But it turns out she's not actually fighting cheetah at all. She's fighting a hologram that is like a bunch of cheetahs, and it's having Wonder Woman get tricked into fighting cheetah. This is revealed later in the movie by when Cyborg comes to Wonder Woman's aid. But while that's all going on, the Flash encounters the Mirror Master, who is of course a hologram, and he makes a comment saying, I got a dead grandma. And then Flash is like, what sick game do you got? And then like while he was doing forensic scientist stuff, he then encounters Mirror Master, and the woman's trapped in some dome and she's knocked out, but there's a bomb in it. So Mirror Master says if he tries to break the glass, it will instantly explode. But Flash has to make a choice. He instead shoves his hand to grab the bomb, but it's actually a trick. He gets his hand trapped to a bomb. And of course, Mirror Master now gives Flash an option. He only has a few seconds to go, 60 seconds to get the bomb off. But if he tries to take it off, it will blow up instantly. So he's given a choice. So the Flash just runs. But if he stops running, the bomb will go off. So, it's quite the pickle for the Flash. And so the Flash ends up running across the water endlessly without any means to get rid of the bomb. So it was all a stunt by Mirror Master. So while that's all going on, Green Lantern is investigating a terrorist group at some mining area, and the FBI is there. And so Green Lantern takes out some of the goons, but it turns out one of the goons has kidnapped Star Starfire, I think. So, she gets kidnapped, but Hal Jordan uses his ring to accidentally causes a rumble in the tunnels, but after stopping the man who holds her by gunpoint, but he takes out the man, but she is crushed by rubble. It turns out that it was a completely different Carol. And the real Star Starfire shows up saying that Hal just caused the death of her. And now Hal loses his will because he's worried that he just killed somebody. And while that's all going on, next is Martian Manhunter, who's hanging out with a friend, but he's getting eyed by some woman who wants to date him. But because Martian Manhunter didn't read her mind at first, because Martians don't read each other's minds, but he does read her and finds out it's the Martian Manhunter. I call it the evil one. I don't know his name. I'm so sorry. But it turns out he is tricking John, causing him to have some sort of aneurysm, and he panics, and everyone is like, oh man, it's the Martian Manhunter. But of course this one throws fire at Martian Manhunter, his one weakness, but he can't get it off because there's just so much, I guess it's just too much, and it's also not curable. It's like a curse stuck to John, and he has no choice but to deal with this fire. I'm jumping a lot, but so this is what happens to the whole Justice League. All their weaknesses are now getting taken advantage of. But Batman manages to... Now we're going back to where we started. Batman manages to get out of his coffin by using a ring from his ring finger, and he digs his way out, and he realizes the Justice League is under attack, and because he calls Flash, realizing there's a bomb on him, and then Alfred's wondering, how do you know all this? And then Batman just says, the Justice League is getting attacked by me. But while that's all going on, Superman I think he's the last one standing, but we'll get back to him. But Wonder Woman, she ends up getting free from the holograms attacking her of Cheetah. She's actually just fighting the squad team fighting her. And basically her weakness is that she's so overwhelmed by enemies that it will just cause her to get a heart attack or an aneurysm, because Cyborg ends up showing up, realizing what's going on, as it's just a projector that's making Wonder Woman think there's a bunch of cheetahs. And he uses the device to wipe the mind wop out of Wonder Woman. And Wonder Woman first attacks Cyborg, but with his help, she manages to break free. And the two end up rescuing John, who jumps in the water. But Batman gives them a cure and cures John. And Batman also goes for Green Lantern, who reveals to Green Lantern that he was hit by the Scarecrow's fear toxin. And even though we don't see Scarecrow in this movie, it shows like this is kind of just like the DC universe, but just like this is like kind of just its own story. But it's a Scarecrow's fear toxin that made Hal think that he killed somebody and everyone on this little mission. And he breaks free, he gets his will back, and he finds out the girl that he thought he killed, it was actually just an android that looked like Carol. For the Flash, he ends up putting the bomb on an iceberg and it explodes. The Flash gets out of there. And so the whole team comes together for Superman's aid, as Wonder Woman Superman is in panic mode, who's about to die from his gunshot wound to the chest. And the Justice League tries to come up with a way to fix him, but Batman tells Cyborg to use this synthesized kryptonite to go into Superman's skin and get the kryptonite bullet out of there. And then Cyborg's like, I can't do it, but Lois says, do it for me and him. But he ends up doing it, and Superman is saved, and his flesh is easily fixed. So the Justice League come together. They're wondering how Batman did all this, how he knew how to fix the issues they were dealing with, and how he knew their weaknesses. And this is where Batman drops a bombshell. It's revealed that Batman has contingency plans for the whole Justice League. And he planned to use it if they ever went rogue. And they're like, why would you ever do that? Why would we ever get rogue? But Batman mentions mind control. And so basically Batman's just waiting for a moment for the Justice League to turn bad. And so before they realize what's going on, the villains are all celebrating to the Legion of Doom. But this is a scene where we get Vandal Savage's backstory, where it's very different. It's a little similar to the DCAU, where Vandal Savage reveals that he is immortal because thousands of years ago, maybe even millions, him and his people were out in the Arctic, but a meteor shot down from a meteor shower, and everyone scattered away, and Vandal Savage was feeling very cold, so he slept by the rock, and now he's been immortal ever since. And he talked about all the careers he went by, and that's how he was able to make so much money, because the villains were questioning how much money he had. But Vandal Savage reveals his big plan, where he's going to use some giant radiation from the sun, from his technology, and he's going to use that to destroy the Earth and then conquer it. But because the Justice League are out, he thinks the Justice League is out of the picture, but it turns out it's not. And the Justice League all come together in a big final battle. And John's like, I heard all of that. And when they found out that Vandal Savage was behind the whole thing, they get into a battle. And basically the Justice League finish off their enemies. They finish off the Legion of Doom. Batman fights Bane, and he manages to just use a Batarang to take out Bane's strength, his venom. And I think Green Lantern and Starfire have a little talk about how it hurt her. So yeah, it's an interesting lore detail, but I think they do defeat. She does get defeated easily by Hal, and he even takes the crystal out of her. Superman takes out Metallo by just tearing him apart per usual. And yeah, the rest of the villains, I think they're taken down, but Vandal Savage is left. But Cyborg ends up having to stop the laser that is going to destroy it, but he is stabbed. But it doesn't hurt because, he's a cyborg. But yeah, Superman and Green Lantern team up in space to take out the missile, or the giant laser thing, the lightning strike, whatever you want to call it. And the Justice League have no other choice, but they only have 7 minutes so they can take out the laser. And yeah, there's only so much they could do, but they decide that they're gonna use a giant shield and use the Watchtower, and the Watchtower looks very different, by the way. And they use it, and I think they build a shield up, and it blocks the whole Earth, and we see basically a giant lightning shower over the Earth, and everyone sees it. Alfred, Lois, the people of the Daily Planet. Yeah, very cool stuff. But they stop it, and the day is saved for our Justice Leaguers. But that's not it for the Justice League. They all have a meeting, and they decide to have Cyborg join the team. And even earlier, he tried to stay out of the whole Justice League having drama with each other. But one of them's like, "You're part of this." So now he's part of the team. But the big elephant in the room they address is whether they want to kick out Batman, because they felt they don't trust him anymore, because they viewed him as a friend, but because he has plans to neutralize them, and Batman comes up, just immediately shuts them down and says, "If you guys don't see the danger of the Justice League, then you guys are all fools." And then he says he doesn't belong here. It was either Batman quits the team or they kick him out. So Batman chooses to quit. But he has a final talk with Superman and says, "Hey, if we ever go rogue, you know who to go to save the world." And so Batman quits. He's sent back to Earth, and that's the movie. So yeah, this movie is really good. Yeah, I don't think it's the best Justice League movie, but I can say this. It's a lot better than, this is a hot take, but it's a lot better than Justice League and the Snyder Cut. That's just kind of a roast there. But yeah, this movie is really fun. I kind of see it as like a DCAU episode, and whether it's canon or not, I don't know. I could see it as like, if they reworked it, I can kind of see it being a DCAU movie. But yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in this movie with Vandal Savage. It explores Batman's and the Justice League's relationship, since they're all meant to be friends. But Batman and the Justice League lose each other's trust, and it's sad. I wish Aquaman and Hawkgirl was in this movie, but I guess they didn't want to have too many characters. And I don't know, I guess they were worried it would just be longer. But yeah, this movie is pretty short, but most of the DC animated movies are really short. But yeah, it was really cool hearing the voice of Kevin Conroy, Tim Daly, Susan Eisenberg, Michael Rosenbaum, Carl Lumbly, Nathan Fillion, all these characters, all these actors coming together to play these amazing characters. Easily some of the best voice acting for our characters. And yeah, it feels like a DCAU reunion, even though Justice League Unlimited didn't end that long when this came out. But yeah, it's still fun to watch this movie from time to time. And yeah, it inspired Young Justice. So I'd give this movie an 8 out of 10. So what do you think of Justice League Doom? It's random to review this movie, but hey, I wanted to talk about it. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.